Good evening. I want to address the issues of disclosure in some detail because I have the benefit of many years of experience with the property management of rental property in Hoboken. And I agree with the speakers before me that disclosure is an essential part of any proper administration of any ordinance. The reason we are here, though, tonight is that we need to correct problems with the administration of these ordinances and all the problems surrounding the documentation that's been alluded to. Specifically, with this section on disclosure, I think this needs some clarification on the language relating to the requirement of providing a proof of renting statement by DCA. It's not clear whether that's required or just notification of the existence of that document is to be given in the disclosure statement. It is required that every time you have to prepare a disclosure statement, you need to provide the pamphlet or the booklet. That would be a very onerous and wasteful, repetitive action. People would get the report at least twice a year, maybe more often, and it would swell the files of the city hall because whatever you disclose to the tenant, you also have to give the rent level office. So you attach all the supporting documents, it would be very repetitive and wasteful. I should also point out that the state already mandates that every landlord of a property that's not owner-occupied and greater than 2 units has to give that statement out to every renter. It's been already mentioned, but it bears repeating that it's more important to get receipt or proof of delivery rather than receipt or acknowledgement of delivery. There is no practical way to do this. My experience has been that you send out a rent increase, you send it by certified mail and regular mail. A good 2/3 of people who get the regular mail do not bother to go to the post office to pick up their certified mail. It then becomes a problem of obtaining that envelope. It's thick, it's filled with all the required filings. You've got to either save that or some other proof that you've made an intent to deliver the document. You'll never get the tenants to sign these things regularly. There are actually too many repetitive filings. I know Ron mentioned this, but it bears repeating too, that there should just be one filing of the document that the state already requires, that you give tenants their rights as a booklet or keep it. Actually, the document is available online as well. The multiple filings would be confusing. Everybody would have to look at them again and see whether there's some bomb in the middle of them. And it's plainly wasteful. It's all that mail, all the postage, all the paper, all the cost of the document for the landlord is $2 per booklet. It's not available free, it costs some money. If you realize that the CPI increases are given throughout the year, a person doesn't necessarily move in January 1st, they move in throughout the year. The surcharges, though, are based on a calendar year. So if you're giving the surcharges out in January, February, March, and a person moves in July, you'll end up after the first year potentially giving the person 2 increases. Why send that statement? Why send the annual registration statement over and over again? It should be just once a year. It's not a big problem for a person in property management, but it is a problem for those people who have 1 or 2, 3, 4 family buildings. They may not have copiers, they may not have postage meters, they don't necessarily want to have to go to the post office so many times, and there's no real advantage to anyone to have it that way. Just a couple more points. There are already 2 state-mandated notifications, by the way. One refers to lead paint or the absence of it in the dwelling, and the other refers to the availability of window guards for children of a certain age. The state only deems it necessary to file these things once a year. I don't think the city should have a higher standard. Finally, I notice on many emails from attorneys, there's a statement at the bottom of the emails. Go green. And they're not referring to the GIFs. Go green. Please consider our plan before printing your documents. Let's bring Hoboken rent control documentation into the 21st century. Why not have electronic filing acceptable? Proof of delivery is available. It's not impossible to document. You could save so much time, space, postage, and wasted effort. At a minimum, I think it's appropriate to have a tenant of the option to select at the time of taking occupancy as to whether they would prefer their filings electronically or on paper. And by doing so, they would sign something acknowledging that preference. And I would note also that Councilman Bala's emails have that particular statement at the bottom, and yours as well. So I hope you walk the walk as well as you can talk. One last sentence. The proposed ordinance is a very small step toward a sensible, workable, and fair rent control ordinance. I urge you to consider these issues I've outlined in drafting the version you will ultimately submit to the council. Thank you.
First time I spoke on this mic, I had raised it also. That was in 1954 when I received my government renter badge. My name is Joe Huttendorf. I'm the Executive Director of the Hoboken Board of Realtors. For history buffs, the Hoboken Board of Realtors merged with us in 1989. We are concerned we're concerned for all property owners as well as the tenants, but the realtors in Hoboken serve mostly the small property owners and the tenants that rent these apartments. So we're concerned with both of them. If your objective here tonight is to come to a resolution of this class action suit and the problems that it's caused in the real estate market, the first section of that amendment is doing an excellent job of it, and I commend you for it. But there was a reason why you got there. That's about 25, 30 years of constant changes in the ordinance, different interpretations, creating different types of paperwork and administrative nightmare. And your second section that deals with the reporting, keeping track of it, is doing that also. And my suggestion to you is you should try to tighten it up. And the fact of the matter is, what you should be looking for as a goal is just to make sure there's a record that you could confirm that it was done. To create all this filing, you've already found out it doesn't work, that your city employees will not maintain the records the way you have intended. My suggestion to you is that you tighten that up. The first section will get rid of your class action suit. And not get rid of the class action suit, but it'll make it implement, so it won't make any difference anyway. You presently have a problem. You have a boogeyman in the closet, and that's rebound. It's time. And you have a changing market, and you've seen last year's reassessment of properties, mostly in condos. You will see an even larger reassessment of those properties. They will all be successful because the condo market is declining in value. But the homeowners, they are not declining in value. They're maintaining it because there is a shortage. There are more buyers than there are properties. And right now, because of this rent control, there are many sellers that are not selling. They're petrified. Most of them are seniors are coming to City Hall to find out, did they break the law or not? They don't even know. And they're not selling. And it's causing a shortage of that product, which means when rebound comes, the tenants in those small buildings and the tenants in the buildings that are not covered under rent control, that are not assessed tax abated, will be getting a large tax increase where the condo owners will not. And it will be passed on to them. So it's important that you pass this as quickly as possible to help us start selling those properties and to let the market have an effect on a rateable base. And please, just get rid of all that paperwork. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't solve any problems. All right? Now, if your goal here is to solve that problem and to wait until after the May election when emotions will calm down, you're accomplishing the goal. But you need to address the issue of the lost amount of apartments for tenants in the small buildings. 20% of the apartments are gone now in 9 years. And it's rising and it's increasing at a rapid rate. Rent control is not the main factor, but it is a factor. And it's a factor you should consider. But you should wait until after the emotions calm down, after the May election. It's never good to discuss this during an election. But the candidates could let their opinions be known, and you can move from there. Now, a little background. I was the first person who wrote the first rent control ordinance in Hoboken. I was its first chairman. I'm no longer involved in rent control. I was appreciated by the tenants to such a degree that they made me a charter member of the State Rent Government Association. So we are not speaking in opposition to the tenants' concerns, or are we speaking in opposition to anybody's concerns. If you don't fix this, the tenants in the small buildings are going to have a negative impact on that in the coming years. So, and they may not understand what's coming because it's difficult to understand government to start off. I have an advantage. I have a member badge in 1954 given to me by John Rogan. So I have a little advantage on that, and they don't. And it's hard for the tenants to understand that. And right now you have senior homeowners in small buildings that are being dramatically affected emotionally because of this law. So please act on it as quickly as you can and try and change the paperwork. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eileen Lynch?